kids like to throw the balls, and I always try to say, don't throw it at your friend, throw it to your friend. Make sure your friend's hands are ready to get it from you, you know, because throwing balls is a natural play thing, but throwing it at someone's face is not the appropriate way to play with each other.
Miss Kara, you
Yes.
said don't is a no, but right now you gave an example, we don't throw blocks, is that saying
Or-
no throwing blocks? I'm just.
It kind of is.
Okay.
Or we can say, I see you like throwing things. How about you join me in our throwing center to throw cotton balls or throwing bean bags over here?
Is stop a no?
Mm-hmm. So any of those things that come out in a negative context, stop. No, don't. Those are all against positive guidance.
They're like, throw something and you know it's gonna hit something that we can say stop,
Yes.
'cause it's a quick reaction.
Yes. So quick reactions because someone is in danger of getting hurt, right? If they're just going to throw a block at the wall, after they do that, or you see that, then you can say, you know, blocks are for building. Like, how can we put words positive? Blocks are for building. If we throw balls outside. Or if we throw beanbags at this target.
Our vocabulary needs to change so they can change.
Yep.
What you're telling us.
That is what I'm telling you. Like I said,
I just make it clear.
a total culture shift.
Makes sense.
Your papers do have some instead of this, say this. And the trainings for your age group will have a lot of really great examples of how to handle different situations. And once you've gone through the training, if you still have questions, we can totally go over those. All right. So the basic principles of guidance. Be a model. Respect the child. When we are modeling respect, that's how they learn respect. I don't know if you know this, but kids did not come out of the womb respecting adults or each other, right? They don't know what respect looks like. We have to model it for them. Offer choices. Focus on solutions. Instead of don't do this, give them something they can do. More action, fewer words. Hate to tell you, but any lecture you have ever given a child, they have no idea what you said. They were not listening. They were angry. They were upset. They were sad. They were frustrated. They have flipped their lids. You guys have all seen that 5-finger thing, right? This is where our thinking part is. And when our lid is flipped, we are not listening. Our ears don't work anymore. Okay? So we have to get them back into regulation. Or we need to just offer action. Action speaks louder than words. Okay? Get them involved. Have them help solve the problem. And focus on consequences, logical consequences. I'm so sorry that you hurt your friend and they don't want to play with you right now. This is what happens, right? Like, not you have to sit in timeout. Your friend doesn't want to play with you anymore. That's a consequence. It's not a punishment. It's just a consequence of what happened.
So it's a natural consequence.
It's a natural consequence. A logical, natural consequence. Oh, what a bummer that you guys keep fighting over this toy. This toy has to go to timeout now. Right? I didn't say go to your separate corners. I just said, oh, what a bummer. This toy's going away now. You know? And focus on repairing the harm. This is what we're going to get into next with restorative justice. Okay. If you have not yet, which I know Lynn has, No has.
I did from previous years.
So I think maybe you don't have us listed as your employer. So you can go back on and you can change where you work. 2 things. 1, it gets you free training from Child Care Education Institute. Okay? And all of this is from Foundations 106. Number 2, your homework for the next 2 months. It's a 2-hour training. It takes less than 2 hours if you're a fast reader. because it's slides with a couple of, and the slides are not like bulky slides, with a couple of multiple choice questions. When you have completed that and you are in the Arizona registry, I actually will be able to see it. So you are welcome to print your certificate if you want to print your certificate, but also I can see the coursework that you have done if you are in the registry.
So we don't have to print a thing and then give it to you.
If you do it through the CCEI and you're registered with Arizona Registry and you say that you work for here,
Okay, correct.
okay?
Okay.
All right. So, restorative justice practices. This is your other handout. I pulled out the most important pieces, plus I used another slide presentation to help. Your last bit of homework is to read the blog post. This is the blog post. I decided that instead of making you go to a long website, I would just give you the blog post in print. However, if you decide that you want more information or more concrete ideas, there are links in the blog post that take you to other articles of information. All right? But restorative justice is a process that is about culture, kindness, respect, responsibility, and justice. Now remember that justice is making things right. It's not about punishment. Justice is always about righting a wrong. Okay? It's achieved through emphasizing the importance of trusting relationships as central to building community and repairing relationships when they are harmed. All right. So traditional discipline often focuses on punishment for breaking rules. Dr. Sheila Watson says, you can't punish a child into doing anything. You just can't. You cannot make them do anything with punishment. You can make them sit there and sulk. It doesn't mean they're going to do the thing that you ask them to do. Restorative practices instead focus on repairing harm caused by an action and restoring relationships. It's a collaborative process that involves understanding the impact of behavior and finding a solution together. So, here's the key principles. Relationships. Restorative classroom is strong, positive relationships between educators and children and among the children themselves. It requires respect. Every member of the classroom community is treated with dignity and has a voice. Having a voice is important in restorative justice and restorative practices because having a voice means they get a say. They get to say how they feel. They get to say what happened. They get to say what would make it better for them. Sometimes all a kid wants is an apology. But sometimes all a kid wants is for the other kid to say, I will stop doing that. Forced apologies with forced acceptance of apologies does not restore relationships. You have a kid who says, I'm sorry because they were told to say I'm sorry. And you have a kid who says it's okay because they're expected to say it's okay. Responsibility. Children are guided to take ownership of their action and understand their consequences. And repair. When harm occurs, the focus is on repairing the relationship and finding a solution together. So, the main principle of restorative justice is about circles, and there's more than one kind of circle. But in a circle, everyone who's in the circle gets a chance to talk. Whether you use a talking stick or a talking item, or you just point, they say it's best to use a physical object. And one of the dissertations I read, the person who was implementing restorative justice practices into their school said that her first graders were having a dispute while waiting in line for lunch, and so they started passing around a lunchbox as their talking item, right? They were outside of the classroom, they needed anything. If you're on the playground, it could be a ball, it could be a rock, it could be someone's cup. Anything that brings a sense of order to the talking circle. But before you really get into restorative talking circles, you need proactive talking circles. Because you have to practice the skill of listening to each other. And you have to practice the skill of having community with each other. And so a talking circle could be, what's your favorite pet? And we all go around the room and we say what our favorite pet is. It could also be, what's your favorite food? When you've built community, when they feel like they know and love each other, and you talk in the talking circles too. What's your favorite pet? You better tell them your favorite pet, right? Because it creates a different type of relationship and bond. It creates the trust that we were talking about earlier. Then you can go to responsive circles. These are used to address conflict or harm after it has occurred. In a responsive circle, those involved in the incident discuss what has happened, who was affected, and how to repair the harm. This process helps children take responsibility for their actions in a supportive setting. I will give you an example in a minute. Here are some restorative questions. So this is what restorative questions do. First, they elicit reflection on the incident. So we're asking them to reflect back on what happened. We encourage understanding of the human impacts on our thoughts, words, and actions. We talk to them about what we do affects how other people feel. Now, I am not in charge of other people's feelings, but what I do can affect them. And we bring awareness of needs that must be met in order to maintain a positive relationship. So here are those restorative questions. These are what you would have if you were having a talking circle because you needed to restore a moment. From your perspective, now little kids, they don't know the word perspective, but you can just say, what happened? Not what did you do or what did he do? What happened? Or what do you think happened? Right? Because our perception colors our reality. What were you thinking or feeling when that happened? What kind of feelings were you having? How do you feel about it now? Right? Like maybe we've had a couple of minutes to cool down. We've done some deep breathing, how do you feel about that now? Who was affected? Who got hurt in this situation? Okay? Or in what ways did your friend get hurt? How did it make other people feel? And what needs to happen to make things right? Here was my talking circle today. Child A, what happened? I screamed at my friend. What were you feeling when you screamed at your friend? He said he didn't want to play with me. Okay, so I hear that you were feeling upset because he didn't want to play with you. Yes! Okay, and the other child starts to talk. I'm sorry, you're going to get your turn in just a second. We're going to let him finish talking to me. We're standing together. Everybody's facing each other. In a talking circle, there is no one higher or better than anyone else. We are all equals in the circle. Okay, I hear that you were feeling frustrated that he didn't want to play with you. How do you think your screaming made him feel? He didn't like it. I see. Friend B, what happened? Can you tell me what happened? He screamed at me. I hear that he screamed at you. What happened before he screamed at you? I was playing with friend C, and I just told him I didn't want to play with him right now. And then he screamed right in my ear. How did that make you feel? I didn't like it. I see. And how did it make him feel when you said you didn't want to play with him? He was mad. That's why he screamed at me. I hear that. So I see that you were frustrated that your friend didn't want to play with you, and you were upset that he screamed at you. What can we do to make this better between us? At this point, they both have felt heard. Their energy has come down. They're already starting to eye each other like, let's go play. And so I was like, I see that you guys are friends. And sometimes our friends want to play with other friends, and that's also okay. But what can we do right now to make things better? Friend B says, don't scream at me. And friend A says, I just want to play. And I said, I hear that. He is asking you not to scream. Could that happen? Yeah, I could not scream. Okay. What else needs to happen so that we can walk away from here as friends? Well, would you guys like to high five or fist bump? And I didn't even finish my choices, and they high fived and they were gone. That's what a restorative circle can look like. And you can use it for any perceived hurt. And I say perceived hurt because a lot of times we look at them and we're like, that was dumb, right? But our kids have big feelings and they have big emotions. And to them, it is real. And so restorative practices says, how can we heal the harm? So that's the blog that I gave you. Recap. We're going to strive to reduce exclusionary discipline. Okay? I get it. If you guys are struggling with a kid, I will come hold the talking circle if I need to. If a kid needs an extra person to snuggle them and hold them in the classroom, either tap on your neighbor's door if there's an extra person in the building, or if you need someone from FLA office, Maria and I will come and hug a child if that's what we need to do. But we want to keep the children in the classroom and engaged in the activity as much as possible. Now, if they have chosen to go to a calm down corner or center or pillow punching, we respect that choice. That is giving them a reasonable outlet for expressing themselves. But if they don't choose that, we have to be okay with the choice they do choose. We'll build relationships and trust with students to be more effective with positive guidance. This is going to look like having silly conversations with them. I know that most of you sit down and eat with your kids. Love it. This means being intentional when you talk with them. Not just about their clothes. I know those kids love to talk about their clothes. And they love to talk about my clothes. I wear the clothes I wear because they like to talk about my clothes. But it means asking them what they did this weekend. It means talking to them about their family, talking to them about their pets, having them talk to each other about their family and what they did and what they like to do and what they like to eat, because that builds community and it opens the door for positive guidance to be effective. And we're going to use restorative justice techniques to involve the children in problem solving. You would be surprised what they will come up with once they are used to this pattern of what happened, how did it make you feel, how did it make the other person feel, what do we need to do to make it right. The things that they come up with are often very insightful. I just need them to share that color block with me. I just need them to not be so close to my ears right now. It doesn't always require apologies. It often just requires repairing the harm. And we can get to that part if we are building relationships and trust amongst our community of classrooms. It's going to require practice and persistence. I know I just threw a lot at you. I know it was 3 solidly different topics, but I think those 3 topics will help us achieve the new regulations. The new regulations call for positive guidance, for a reduction in exclusionary discipline. And they call for us to let the children be a part of the process, to really invite them into what it looks like to develop emotional skills. So, your homework. You either need to take course 107 or 108. I have put it on the end of one of your papers to remind you, and as well as the Arizona Workforce Registry. I think it's on the positive guidance paper. Sign up for Arizona Registry Workforce, or renew your sign up, or change where you work. I will get a thing that says, can you confirm that this person works for you? And then I will put in yes. And then it will start tracking the training that you do through CCEI. It also allows you to input your own training that you have gone to for other places. Not that I ever want you to leave, But should you ever decide that God is calling you somewhere else, or that you have to move because of whatever reasons, and you just don't love Arizona anymore, and you don't love me, and you just want to leave me, you can keep track of all of your trainings on the Arizona Workforce, and you can print out all of your trainings to hand to a future employer. Okay? So it also helps you. It does allow you to self-report on trainings that you take outside of the CCEIs. And that brings me to the third piece of paper in front of you. I don't have a slide for it. But on the back of it, yep, on the back of it, it explains the current regulations for every calendar year from your work anniversary until the following day before your work anniversary. You are now required to have 24 clock hours of training. So sometimes you will see a course that says 2 clock hours and 0.027 CEUs. You're looking at the clock hours. So this training started at 5:30, it's now 7:05. This will be an hour and a half training, okay? And you will get an hour and a half towards your 24 hours. This one goes under the thing that says positive guidance and discipline. There is also a section there that says if you have less than 12 months of work experience, then these are the things that you must study in your 12 months. If you have greater than 12 months experience, here are the things that you must study. Here are your optional study items. Okay? And if you work with school-age children, here are the things you must do in your first 3 months. They have now changed the regulation for how long a person needs to have experience in order to work with school-agers. So for school-agers, it is either 3 months of full-time experience or 6 months of part-time experience. Then allows them to be alone with school-agers, but they also have to do an increased training in those 3 months. Okay, so I want you guys to keep this copy. When you do your stuff through CCEI and on the Arizona Registry, it will tell you what categories those fall into. So you can keep track of how many hours you've done in what category if you were only taking those trainings. If you are taking trainings elsewhere through Branching Out or through some other education day, we can figure out what section that falls into. But I would like for us to stay on top of being proactive towards our training. Our licensing requires everyone to have 3 hours of Empower training. I've sent that link before, I will send it again. And each course is actually only about 45 minutes, but it gives you a 1 hour credit. So that's 3 hours every year that you will do. Sometimes you'll just have to repeat them because they only have like 9 or 11 topics. One of their newer topics that I highly recommend is inclusion in the early childhood setting. So if you are below your Empower hours for this calendar year of your work year, I highly recommend taking the inclusion one. It's not just about kids with disabilities, although it does focus on kids with disabilities, but it talks about including all children within the learning environment. All right, I promise between 7 and 7:30. I think I did all right.
Great.
Let me pray us out of here. I know it was a lot, and I know, like I said, it is going to require a culture shift. Pray over it, read about it, take the training. We can do it together. We can dialogue about it. We can bounce ideas off of each other. It's going to require a team effort. All right, Heavenly Father, thank you for this time that we've had. Thank you for just teaching us to be more like you while dealing with these children, that they are inherently your children. They are human beings who were created in your image. Help us to treat them with kindness and respect, to give them dignity and autonomy, and to help them learn the emotional skills to be excellent human beings in adulthood. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. Fill up your plate if you are still hungry, and clock out. And we're good to go.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Matthew.
you.
Thank you for listening. And if you haven't already, make sure you sign in.
Do you want me to move the laundry or just leave it for?
Just leave it.
Okay.
Either me or Diane or Sarah will get it in the morning.